Hello and welcome everybody to another exciting episode of the show, The Future of Web. So this is a show about Web3 technologies. The intention is to educate people, to increase understanding, and help in wider adoption of this technology. Here we discuss the current state of Web3 and how different personnel, be it a founder, investor, designer, programmer, developer, community manager, are impacting this space through their product or service. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Alek, and I'm the founder of the company Animoy Solution. We are a Web3 design and development company where we help companies transition from Web 2 to Web 3 through education, and we build through metaverses, NFTs, and other things. All right. So that's a little bit about us. And moving about the guest, so he's someone who's been an angel investor, a CEO, for a long time, and now a founder of a startup in Web3, which wants to democratize how podcast is done through a community-driven platform. So without further ado, let's welcome Simon Smith. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Alec. It's great to be chatting with you today. Thank you very much for the invite onto your show.
Oh, thank you very much. Monday morning in London. How's it? How's the weather there?
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's a bit grey today, but in general, it's not bad for December. I think, yeah, we're doing pretty well at the moment. Could be a lot colder.
Oh, yes. I'm sure it's going to get a little more colder and snowy as well as the time progresses.
Yeah, it
Cool.
will.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again, for coming in. So I usually start, with a, how do I say it, with a surprise question, which is like, we would like to know what is it that gets you up every morning?
What gets me up in the morning is knowing that there's work to do, knowing that there's things to do in terms of the world is a changing place. We are going through the digital revolution, and the changes that are happening, I think, probably for the most part, are not actually by design. I think we're kind of moving along a development process which is involving a lot of social changes as a result of digital and media changes that are happening and changes to the money system. I mean, it's just over the last 50 years that our money has gone from being pieces of paper to being mostly just numbers on a screen. And these things are not always planned, but certainly they are having an effect on the way that we're all living our lives and the way that government structures are controlling our lives. So I think really having the opportunity to being fortunate enough to understand some of the things that are going on. I don't think everyone understands all of it, but being able to have an understanding of some of that and having a concept of Web3, having a concept of cryptocurrencies, and seeing that there's a potential to have an impact on the way things are changing and potentially have an improved change in the situation that we're all living with. I think that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, the chance to make a difference, basically, to put it shortly.
That's actually very interesting, the way you put it, right? Like, how, and especially I like the line, the numbers on the currencies are now numbers on the screens, the transition.
Yeah,
Kind
nobody planned this,
you
but it's
well.
happened. We've shifted from a paper currency system to a digital currency system. I mean,
Yeah,
in some ways, it's ironic that a lot of people are scared of central bank digital currencies. I mean, they're already here. We already have central bank digital currencies. It's
Oh,
it's
yes,
happened over the
absolutely,
last 50 years.
Yeah. So, like, and the India, also where I'm from, they launched their test pilot for the CBDC on 1st of December, just few days back.
Yeah.
And it has already been tested by, several other countries earlier. So we are
Yes.
already transitioning towards that.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Cool. Yeah. So let's just get to know you a little bit more. So maybe a little secret that you can share, which nobody knows till now.
A secret that I could share would be my private keys. I'm not going to share that one with you. I'm sure everyone would like to know that. I have to say, with the way crypto market is looking right now, I think the private keys might not be worth as much as they once were back in the heights of last year. We are going through a difficult time. I think yeah, the secret might be that things could go a lot lower. Yeah, I think that's a reality. I think a lot of people don't want to talk about that in the crypto world, but I think the reality is that prices could go a lot lower than where we are right now.
Oh, okay. Because I was just, reading a little article earlier that we are almost at the bottom. Like obviously there's a lot of other people trying to do their own thing, and what they were talking about was we can only go up from here. So as per your understanding, we still go down now, right? So maybe not the right time for the traditional investors.
This is one of these things where no one can predict the future. We could go up, we could go
Yeah,
down. But
yeah.
having been a trader for the last 19 years, it's been my full time living for the last 19 years, along with investing in startup
Mm-hmm.
companies. I've spent a lot of time watching markets, and my experience is that things don't really bottom until everyone hates it. When you've got the real crypto people are just absolutely sick to death of
Uh-huh.
it, and they think it's never going to go up again. That's probably when you want to buy. At the moment, I don't think we're anywhere near that point at which everyone really kind of detests crypto. I think at the moment there's still plenty of enthusiasm, plenty of excitement. I think there will be another bull market. I think there will be probably a much bigger bull market than we've ever had before, and prices will go up a lot more. But I just think
Mm-hmm.
we're not there yet. No, I don't think we're at the bottom. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I might be wrong.
Yeah, so obviously, that's your opinion and how you see things. And that's actually a very, in a positive note as well. So we'll get to that, a little later. But so you've been an angel investor. You invested all through your career in a lot of companies. And so why did you decide instead of just investing to create, Excalibur? I mean, the platform that you're building.
Yeah, I mean that really came about. I spent I've been in Bitcoin since 2013. In 2020 and particularly in 2021, I spent a lot of time researching crypto, and the main motivation for this was really just in order to become a better investor in crypto, to really understand
Uh-huh.
which were the best new projects to get into, which were the best new coins. And
Uh-huh.
I really just, I spend hours and hours watching YouTube, reading books, really trying to understand it. I mean, I've been researching the space really since 2017, but yeah, last year I really kind of started to understand the concept of decentralized money and how it's better than any form of money we've ever had before. Just having the fact that no one could take it away from you is a huge use case for money versus anything we've happened in the past. When you look at the way that money has evolved through gold and notes, now what we have here is a real, step up in evolution in terms of having a currency that we can rely upon. So I think, Bitcoin in itself is a huge step
Mm-hmm.
forward. But then starting to initially kind of looking at NFTs and thinking, well, I don't get it. They're just JPEGs, right click and save. You can have your own copy. But then when I started to research the concepts within Web3
Mm-hmm.
and DAOs and how that, structures a community using these digital assets, it really is quite a revolution in itself. And the more I understood it, the more I thought, well, there really is a use case here, in terms of having media that can be paid for, discrete payments for
Mm-hmm.
individual bits of media, which goes beyond the way the internet is funded right now. I mean, for a long time, I've had a frustration with the internet, the way it's very much advertising based, which leads to the abuse of our data.
Mm-hmm.
Subscriptions, I don't know about you, but I've probably got about 17 subscriptions that I should be cancelling, and I haven't got around to figuring out exactly how to get around the website to cancel that subscription. And so I don't like going into subscriptions. They don't appeal to
Mm-hmm.
me. I mean, when you look at Visa and Mastercard, they're not built for the internet. Those are payment systems that are built for plastic cards in shops. With credit. I mean, okay, they've moved on to debit cards now, but in
Yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
yeah.
having small discrete payments for items of media,
Uh-huh.
we haven't
Uh-huh.
really had a good system for that before. And I personally think that's why we've gone down this advertising route, where creators are forced to give content away for free. The default method of monetization is through advertising. Yeah, okay, subscriptions are getting some traction now, but that's only for larger scale media where the creator has already succeeded in getting a large following. They can actually convince people to get into a subscription. But for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
you creators are having to give stuff away for free, which means they have to cater it towards the advertisers, because what gets you to the top of the algorithm is having the most advertising revenue. So for me, it
Yeah.
was like, okay, here we have a new payment system, which, with NFTs are demonstrating how you can have discrete payments for individual bits of media. It can be a JPEG, it
Mm-hmm.
can be a video, it can be a
Mm-hmm.
song, it can be a podcast, it could be a gaming experience. I mean, all of these things are effectively digital media. So in terms of having an internet payment system that can be used to pay for internet goods, which are effectively
Mm-hmm.
media, that's where crypto really has its real use case. So for me, I felt like there was an opportunity to build something. When I first had the idea back in 2019, the
Mm-hmm.
idea really formulated into something in 2021. And, in
Mm-hmm.
2019, I just thought, well, somebody else is going to do this, obviously. But by 2021, no one had done it. I just thought, well, somebody has to do this. There were no obvious investments I could really get into. So I just thought, well, we might as well build it. So that was it. I started the process of designing and trying to find developers. I used to be a developer myself 20 years ago. So I know a
Yeah.
little bit about coding. Obviously, I've forgotten most of what I knew, but I understand the concept still. I'm able to work with
Yeah.
developers. That's been an advantage. But yeah, I mean, that was the beginning of a process of finding the right people that believe in the project as well, that understand what we want to do, because it is a different concept. Web3 is very different to anything we've had before. And it's a bit like when the internet first started, everyone dismissed it as a bit of a fad. When Bitcoin
Yeah.
first started, that was dismissed. And now Web3 is even dismissed by a lot of the Bitcoin people. It's very unfortunate. They're not open to the new concept within their own space. Obviously, there are some
Yeah.
very, unfortunate projects in the crypto space. And a lot of people have lost money to a lot of scammers. So you can understand why people are reticent to adopt a
Hating
new
it.
idea. But yeah, it takes
Yeah.
some time to really understand it, to really get to grips with what we're offering in Web3. But I think there's huge opportunities here.
No, there are absolutely, and I think that's one reason why you also wanted to build it like a community project, right? Like the
Definitely. Yeah.
tokenization. Maybe you want to, shed some light on that.
Yeah. I mean, Web3 is community projects, really. It enables
Yeah.
community projects. It
Yeah.
really is. The classic method of funding a tech project would be to come up with an idea, to go out and raise a lot of money from VCs, use that money to acquire users, and that's what they do. They acquire users through ads. So it's a kind of weird kind of cycle where you try to build a system that will grab people's attention. You raise money in order to grab people's attention and get them on the platform. If you are successful, then you will have a platform where you can sell ads to people that are funded by VCs. The whole cycle kind of starts. With Web3, it's a
Yeah.
bit different. With
Yeah.
Web3, you create a concept. The people that adopt early on are rewarded with the tokens of that platform. Their
Mm-hmm.
incentive then is to take it out to people that they know to use the platform, effectively
Yeah.
become the creators and the marketing people within that platform. So
Yeah.
they are, the community that builds it from within. The tech needs to be built in order to enable the community, but the community are the people that really build the business, and they effectively are the controllers of that business. And if it's open source code, which our Excalibur will be when we reach the point of critical mass, we certainly want to be open source so that other people can contribute to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, anyone could take that code and recreate the same business. But what makes it successful is the community of people that operate within that code on that application. So if you imagine Facebook, for example, if all of the users of Facebook got organized and decided to move to a copy of Facebook in a very
Mm-hmm.
short time space, then Facebook would be worth nothing, because it's all about
Mm-hmm.
the users on there that post stuff and like stuff and share stuff and comment on things. That's what makes Facebook interesting. So it is the
Yeah.
community of people that operate on a platform. What you've had with Facebook is a lot of VCs got together and funded it at the beginning, and they are the shareholders. Obviously, the IPO and distributed those shares out to the wider audience. But those shareholders have a right to the financial return from that application. And that's the way that business is structured. So their incentive is to use the customer's data to funnel advertising to them that they think will work on them, to figure out how to press the customer's buttons and make them buy stuff. And that's all for the
Yeah.
benefit of shareholders. If you have a Web3 based application that might be similar to Facebook, then the token holders are the people that have built the application, the ones that have brought their friends onto the platform, that have created content that makes it interesting, but they are still
Yeah.
customers of the platform. So they have no incentive to abuse the data. They haven't invested money into the project, invested their time and effort into the project. So that's what really has a value, and you end up with a much more community-based system as a result of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But isn't that obviously we all know how Facebook and the other platforms have used our data, or all the users' data were there, which are in like huge numbers.
Yes.
But so then, how do you maintain the financial benefit of organizing an like creating a company like Excalibur, having the decentralization, converting into a DAO? Like you said, the
Yeah, I
tokenization
mean,
will happen later.
Excalibur is a DAO. It is
Yeah,
compute code, which issues a token, and
yeah.
yeah, the people that operate on Excalibur, the early
Mm-hmm.
adopters, will be given the token, and then we have an automatic distribution. So that over the next
Mm-hmm.
60 years, people that use the platform, that use it and grow the network by sharing content and getting other people on the platform, they would automatically be distributed the Excal token. So the
Mm-hmm.
community will own the application effectively. They will own the project. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
they as a group choose to monetize in some way, then they will be the beneficiaries of that. That if they choose to have I mean, we have something within Excalibur called the Green Room, which is a
Mm-hmm.
place where people can go to get the very best content.
Uh-huh.
So this will become much more effective once there's more content on the platform. But the process of people making donations to content on Excalibur, and that's the main means of monetization really for the creators. They give the content
Mm-hmm.
away for free, but within their content, they can explain to the listeners that they have the opportunity to make a donation. The donation will enable them to mint an NFT of the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
give them access to the chat room. So the chat room is really where the DAO exists. The NFTs
Okay.
give them programmatic access without giving away any personal information. They are included in the
Mm-hmm.
membership, included in the access, and that's a key thing of Web3. With everything in Web2, you need to give personal details in order to have any
Yeah.
form of membership or any access to anything. With Web3, you can buy the NFT without giving personal details, and you have access to that community. So you have a level of anonymity there if that's what you want. The NFT itself is a digital copy of the content. So
Uh-huh.
if you buy digital content, let's say on something like Amazon Prime, you've paid for that. In theory, you own it, but you only own it through that third-party application. If Amazon ever
Mm-hmm.
decides to censor that content, or if that business ever goes down, then you no longer have access to that digital content. You end up losing what you paid for. Whereas with an
Yeah.
NFT, if the file itself is on decentralized storage with Arweave or somebody like that, then you end up with something that you'll be able to keep forever. So it's a bit like hearing a song on a radio for free, going out and buying the record because you like it, and then
Yeah.
record receipt effectively giving you access to a community of all the people that like that record, and then a digital chat room where they might want to go and talk about the content. I mean, it's a podcast. It may be a very interesting subject like Web3, where people want to go and chat about the future of Web3. And maybe the creator is going to be in there at a certain time. They might say, okay, 6 on Sunday, I'm going to be in there. I'm going to answer people's questions. Thank you very much for contributing by buying the NFT. And in return for that, I'm going to give you some of my time and answer questions. So it's giving a value add, because you've always got that thing of, why will people pay for something that they can get for free? In reality,
Yeah.
Patreon is a $4 billion business, so people are paying for stuff that they can get for free, and those people are actually listening in one place, or YouTube or Spotify, and they're going onto the Patreon website. They're putting in their name and address details and their credit card details, and again, going into the subscription, which they'll forget about,
Mm-hmm.
the bank account, all of these
Oh yes. Yeah.
conveniences.
So that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's
are
also big
enduring.
business.
Yeah, they're enduring these inconveniences in order to support their favorite creator on Patreon. So we're offering
Yeah.
what we think is a step up from that, because you can listen to a podcast on one page. On
Mm-hmm.
the same page, you can connect your wallet, buy the
Uh-huh.
NFT, access the chat room. It's a very simple chat room. I have to say, I've used Discord and I hate it. I mean, that application is so difficult to use. I mean, it is the place that people go to talk about Web3, so we all have to deal with it, but it's not very user friendly in any way. So we thought, yeah, let's get a really simple chat mechanism here. Over time, we'll probably add some functionality to it that'll make it a bit more sexy. But at the moment, we just keep it simple. People buy the NFT, they get to access the chat, they can talk to each other, they can talk to the creator. But yeah, it's a space to go. Each bit of content that goes out on Excalibur is a DAO, because you can buy that token that gives you access, that gives you're the financier of that podcast or audiobook. Could be a chapter of an audiobook that you're contributing to.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to give ideas about what can go in the next episode, and you're effectively part of that community. So each one is a DAO. Excalibur in itself is a DAO as well. So the whole thing is structured almost like a fractal.
Interesting. And that's a very nice, like the way I understand it, it's a very nice ecosystem you try to build to help everybody. The people who invest, the people who become the token holders, the creators, absolutely, because Web3 is primarily about supporting the creators and, giving them much more leverage for their content rather
Definitely.
than running after advertisers. So that's
Definitely.
that's a very nice way. And, you brought a very good point about the chat room. It's a very small thing probably in the whole scheme of things for you, but having a good chat system in itself would can maybe turn out to be a new product for you, like going forward down the line.
Yeah, I think
So
it turns what is normally a one-way media stream into a
yeah,
two-way media stream, interactive media. This is what we think we can
yeah,
offer as a value add. But when you talk about the creators there going after advertisers, I mean, it is all about the incentive system. When you think about Bitcoin,
yeah,
it's computer code. It's a new currency. It's very, very clever. But what's really clever about it is the incentive
yeah,
system. People are
yeah,
incentivized to become miners, to create new coins, to tell their friends about it, to hold those coins, to use them as a form of payment, because the incentives are there for everyone in that network to stick with that network and build that network. So what we have
yeah.
here is an incentive system where creators are incentivized to create good content for their listeners.
Uh-huh.
They don't have that third party platform, the advertisers there trying to influence the content. It's simply a relationship between the creators and their listeners.
Nice. I think that's a very good concept, like especially when so a lot of people talk about web3, like, but they're mostly about 2.5, 2.3, somewhere there. But what you're
Yes.
talking about is traditionally building on blockchain. So which blockchain are you using, by the way?
We're using Solana at the moment. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
we love Bitcoin. All the Bitcoin maximalists out there, we do love Bitcoin. We think it's the greatest form of money that's ever been invented. But what
Mhm.
Bitcoin can't do is a project specific token issuance. An
Yeah,
NFT, or what is in Solana is an SPL token, where you can actually have your token for your project, which you can
yeah,
use to incentivize and attribute ownership to people within the application. So
yeah,
that's what we're able to do here. We're able to deliver those NFTs of each podcast to the listeners. We're able to give XCal tokens to people that grow the network, to the early adopters,
hmm,
and attribute ownership to them. And that's what really makes a DAO possible, is having that programmatic ownership. In many ways, a DAO is a new form of joint stock company. It's a way
yeah,
of incentivizing and attributing power to the people within the community, in the same way as shareholders act within a joint stock company, the token holders will act within the DAO. The main difference is with a DAO and with tokens, the owners have first person ownership. People that own shares have to go through a banking system. The banks
yeah,
own those shares on their behalf. Who knows what they're doing with them? They can take them away whenever they want. Just like Justin Trudeau took away the bank accounts of the truckers when they protested against COVID. Should the banking system decide that you no longer own your shares, then that's within their decree. Should the government
yeah,
decide that you can't own your shares anymore, that can take them away. If you have your tokens within your crypto wallet, as long as you don't give your private key to anybody else, then they can't take them away. They're your asset.
yeah.
It's a real strong use case of crypto, one that I don't think people talk about enough.
Oh yes, because that in part is also challenging towards the regular system, and to understand that, and the legacy understanding we've had about all the systems we are going through right now or transitioning from, it's a
I agree.
it's a mental challenge, it's a mental
It,
conflict,
it's taken
like
me years to
uh,
learn this stuff. Honestly, I've spent so
yeah,
long getting my head around Web3 crypto. I say
yeah,
I was an investor back in 2013. At that point, I didn't understand it. I wish I'd
yeah,
done the reading back then. I probably would have invested a whole lot more. But at the time, it's this
yeah,
is a speculative bubble. It looks interesting, limited supply, more people coming in. Price is probably going to go up. But now I really have a very very good idea. I wouldn't say I fully understand it because I think you'll never stop learning in this space. I think
yeah,
if you learn
absolutely,
everything that exists there right now, it's all going to change in 6 months' time. There's going to be more built, more added. It's a constantly evolving new technology
yeah,
that will have all kinds of utility,
absolutely.
most of which we haven't even imagined yet. It's going to be an amazing space to come.
Oh, absolutely. So now you're transitioning, and so how was it for you building the community? Because it's a purely community-based project. Have you already started building it? So, like,
Yes,
can you
yeah,
share a little bit of that? Yeah.
yeah. I
So,
mean,
how?
if
What's the
we
challenge?
well, we have people that are developing the application. We have creators that we're bringing on board that will be the early adopters of the platform,
Yeah.
and that's basically it. It's a combination of people that are building a very good coding system, so it's a good application that creators want to use, and then those
Hmm.
creators bring on their listeners. The
Hmm.
listeners spread the word to their network, hopefully to more creators, and the whole thing should become a virtuous circle. It really is a question of people understanding what we're offering. The more creators are able to understand what we're offering, the more they will
Hmm.
want to spread the word, and they can spread it through the content that they're putting on the platform. So anyone that is a creator, anyone that likes to talk about Web3, this is the perfect springboard for your content because you can talk about your application on a Web3 platform. You can share it with your audience. Your audience are incentivized to share it with their network because we have an affiliate
Hmm.
scheme where they
Hmm.
can generate an affiliate link of each
Hmm.
podcast, and then they can earn
Hmm.
50% of the revenue of people that come
Hmm.
and purchase the NFT. So they're doing the job for people like yourself of building your network for you, and they're sharing in the
Yeah.
revenue. Additionally to that, they will earn Xcal tokens, increasing the size of the network of Excalibur itself.
Okay. Cool. So, I mean, that's again, trying to give it a circular economy kind of a shape where everybody
Absolutely.
helps everybody and everybody gains. So that's a
Yes.
fantastic way of looking at it. And I will, obviously, consider putting my podcast, because we are all about Web3, to host it. I think that'll be the ideal platform,
Definitely. Yeah.
to host, the future of web on Excalibur. I'll definitely look forward to doing that,
It's designed
and
for
as soon as
people
possible.
like yourself, Alec. It really is. It's designed
Yeah.
for you. It really only costs,
Yeah.
a small amount of Solana to do the upload. When you put
Yeah.
your podcast on there, your podcast turns into an NFT. So there's a cost of
Hmm.
that minting process on there. And for anybody else that wants to buy that NFT, they pay a small amount of money as well. People who want to become
Hmm.
affiliates, that's a new smart contract because we're utilizing the smart contract technology. I mean, if you have more than one creator in a specific podcast, if you have a guest on and they would like to share in the revenue, you can set that up
Yeah.
when you do the upload. You can create a revenue split. Maybe it's 70% for you, 30% for them. And then as people
Hmm.
are making donations, making contributions, buying the NFT, the revenue split automatically happens. That's
Hmm.
a huge departure from what existed in the world of Web 2 with corporations and companies. Because previously you would have needed to have legal contracts, an accounts department, a registered company. Um, you'd have had to chase people for money, do invoicing, all these things, just
Yes.
in order to manage a revenue split. What often actually
Yeah.
happens in reality in creative endeavors is people don't go and set all that up because it costs a lot of money and it's a lot of hassle. And they just
Yeah.
agree, okay, we're going to split the money 50-50. But then quite often the
Yeah.
person who's in control of the money doesn't always give the money to the other people. And they might have affiliates that come on board and they say, oh, well, we'll give you part of the money, when you bring in new customers. And they don't always get paid either. But yeah, if you have it set up with a smart contract, then it's
Yeah.
written into the blockchain. The blockchain says 30% goes to your guest, then 30% will go to your guest. If the
Yeah.
blockchain says 50% of any NFTs that are brought through this link go to that affiliate,
Yeah.
then that money will automatically go into their wallet. It really
Yeah.
is. It's a revolution in payment systems. Just the ability to manage digital rights in
Yeah.
Web3 is a massive use case, and that's really only a small part of the picture. That's just part of it. Like I say, the fact that your media is owned by you. It's not like Amazon Prime where they can censor it, or YouTube where they can take it down if they feel like you're somehow discriminating against a minority group, or I don't know. I mean, you can say whatever you like, and I'm very much an inclusive person myself. I think everyone should be treated
Hmm.
fairly. Everyone should be
Yeah.
given their chance to say whatever they want to say. I think the
Yeah.
council culture that we're getting into now is a problem. I think I think the freedom of speech is very important, and if you don't like what people are saying, then you should go out and speak as well, and start the debate. Have the disagreements, but no
Yeah.
one should be cancelled. This is the thing. People should be allowed to say
Yeah.
what they want. Other people should be allowed to come along and say what they want as well. So this is a big part of what Web3 is enabling free speech, because we have gone into this world where a lot of digital media is now facing a certain amount of I don't know, what would you call it, the Twitter mob, where the Twitter mob decide to like a particular creator, and they might go and bash them around on Twitter, and then eventually Netflix feels like they have to think about whether they're going to cancel Joe Rogan, even though he's the podcaster in the world,
Yeah.
because Joe Rogan
In
had a
fact,
guest on who didn't like
yeah.
coronavirus and thought it might all be a bit of a con. And it's weird situations like this that go on
Yeah, I
in
know.
the world of media.
So in fact, Joe Rogan if I remember correctly, he had his valuation pumped up because of all those things around going around him, and he ended
Well,
up selling it for a lot more. And
yeah,
Spotify did go through with the deal,
yeah, it's interesting
right?
how these things happen. I remember when Uber first got started in London. I mean, I started using. I was
Yeah.
a very early adopter of Uber, and I loved it. But
Uh-huh.
the black cab drivers didn't like it at all. So
Yeah.
they organised a protest against Uber.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Mm-hmm.
was the point when not many people really knew about Uber. They blocked up all the
Mm-hmm.
roads in London, and Uber had a 800% increase in downloads of their app on that day, because the black cab drivers basically made everyone aware of Uber, which they didn't know about before. And
Yeah.
the whole thing backfired. So quite often, these kind of
Yeah.
controversial moves by people that are seeking. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't listened to Joe Rogan in a while, but when that thing happened, I went and listened to the specific episode that had created the whole thing. I think
Yeah.
to be fair, I thought the guest probably wasn't the best guest in the world. I think a lot of what he was saying about COVID probably was wrong, in my opinion. But
Yeah. I
you know,
agree.
I didn't think that Joe Rogan should be cancelled. That was, everybody has the right to listen, to use their own sense of intelligence to question what people are saying. I think everyone
Yeah.
should do that.
Yeah.
You should all go out there
Yeah.
and question it. It's very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And as a listener, I mean, you can actually give everybody a chance to speak their mind, and you listen, and then you make up your mind whether you want to continue listening, you want to
That's it.
not promote that, not follow it. I mean, just canceling somebody because of somebody else said something. I mean, that it's a very hypothetical situation, we get into, because you cannot be 100% say something which is absolutely accurate according to everybody,
Yes,
right?
you can't please all the people all the time. This is the reality.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're like, even an ice cream seller cannot do that these days.
I know,
So
yeah. I
it's
think the way the saying goes is you could please some of the people all of the time, and all of the people
yeah,
some of the time.
some of the
But
time.
you can't please all the people all the time. So I
Yeah.
think we're very
Yeah.
fortunate. We live in a world where we can disagree with each other, and we should exercise
Yeah.
that right regularly. And if we feel like we're
Absolutely.
hearing something that we don't agree with, then let's go out there and use this democratic world that we have to make a
Yeah.
point of disagreeing, making our own opinion heard, and let's let
Yeah.
people decide for themselves which is the truth. Everyone has the right
Yeah.
to make an argument.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. So from there, so coming back to the Excalibur. So what I want to understand is, how's your journey been? Say from getting the idea, you shared you had the idea first in 2017, then
Yes.
you wanted to build it up in 19, kind of solidified, but you were waiting for other people, like somebody else will make it. I don't want to do it, but then you started
Yeah.
building it.
Yeah, I mean, my journey was really, I had the idea initially. I decided upon Solana as the blockchain to use to build.
Yeah.
We started touring the Solana hacker houses. So the first one I did
Mm-hmm.
January
Uh-huh.
of 2022. And at that
Mm-hmm.
point, I just had an idea. And I spent most of that hacker house trying to figure out Solana, trying to find people that would want to help me develop the application. I was very
Mm-hmm.
scared of telling people the idea because I thought everyone would steal it. At this point, I really didn't, even know the concept of Web3. I knew I had an idea about the way media could be shared using a smart contract
Uh-huh.
language. But yeah, I mean, over time, I discovered the Web3 community. I discovered that there's other
Mm-hmm.
people that have this idea as well. I found developers that understood what I was doing. It was interesting
Mm-hmm.
because throughout the process at which I've developed this application, NFTs have been, in a kind of bubbly kind of space where there's been a
Mm-hmm.
lot of value attributed to NFTs, some of which are just simply pieces of art. And,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they're really worth as a piece of art is subjective. Some have more of a solid community behind them. But yeah, I mean, there's been some crazy valuations put on things like the Bored Apes, that have gone up and
Mm-hmm.
down. So yeah, to me, I've always been looking to the technology itself, looking at the long-term value, seeing the
Mm-hmm.
NFT probably more as tickets than as durable items of um, content. I think if you have a podcast which is free to listen to, then
Mm-hmm.
you're selling a ticket to the after party. You're selling a ticket to the live event, the community that people might want to
Yeah.
access. That's the interactive part of that media. So you can have that one-way listener experience for free, but if you want the
Mm-hmm.
interactive experience, you have to pay for that. I think at some point we'll
Yeah.
probably have video along with audio, and we might make it so that
Mm-hmm.
you have to buy the NFT in order to be able to see the video. That's very easy to do
Mm-hmm.
programmatically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is how the journey got started. I think it was really kind of in May this year where I found my first really solid developer who really understood Solana, who really
Mm-hmm.
appreciated the idea of what we were doing, and
Mm-hmm.
that became real core to the application. We started to build the smart contracts that were splitting revenue. We demoed what we were doing in the Solana hacker houses. We found other developers who went along. We found front end developers. We've worked with other people on projects, project based.
Mm-hmm.
What we really want to do over time is to really open it up to the open source community. So we would like to be in a position where people really see the value in Excalibur. They want to come and contribute. They want to look at the code and say,
Mm-hmm.
we can add things to this. We can make this better. So it's open
Mm-hmm.
source content in terms of the media that goes out on the platform, but it's also an
Uh-huh.
open source platform where other people can help build it. So we are
Uh-huh.
very much an open source community based project. We firmly believe that the ultimate result of what we're building will be a better
Mm-hmm.
content platform than anything that exists in Web 2. So the
Okay.
content will be curated by the people that use the platform. So if you're, let's say, obviously you're a creator, but you might also be a listener to stuff that's on Excalibur.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to
Mm-hmm.
look on there for the stuff that you like the most. The stuff that you like the
Mm-hmm.
most, you're going to pay for, number one, and you're going to share it with your friends, number two. The stuff that you don't like,
Yeah.
you won't bother paying for, and you won't bother sharing. So
Yeah.
in terms of what happens on the blockchain, in terms of people that are committing to payments for NFTs,
Mm-hmm.
bits of
Mm-hmm.
content, we're going to have an amazing source of information about what is really good quality. So with Web
Mm-hmm.
2, the thing that drives the algorithm is mostly which content has generated the most advertising revenue. So what
Yeah.
tends to come to the top of the algorithm is the clickbait. Not necessarily good quality, it's just the stuff that caught people's attention, that made them buy something. So it may not be entirely critical thinking content. It probably is something that's a bit
Mm-hmm.
more Disney, a bit more kind of dream world stuff
Mm-hmm.
with things
Mm-hmm.
that are necessarily true. Let's face it. A lot of stuff that
Yeah.
really kind of generates advertising revenue isn't always the truth, is it? Let's face it. I
Yeah.
think what will really kind of work well on Excalibur is content that people put out there where it's stuff that really makes you think, that really adds value, that educates you, that entertains you. That's what'll make you
Yeah.
want to buy the NFT. So we're going to have the green room, which is basically our algorithm, which shows the very best stuff. So it's going to be the
Hmm.
culmination of the votes that people have made by paying money and by sharing with their
Hmm.
network. That will lead to a very high quality algorithm in the green room. Ultimately, we believe that people will pay to access that. So it's going to
Yeah.
be almost like YouTube Premium. Obviously, there's no ads on the platform, but to access that particular
You have to
area,
pay a price.
the
Yeah.
creative community has worked together over a period of time to submit content, to choose that content, to act as a curating mechanism, almost like a
Hmm.
human intelligence network. That's what we like to call it.
Hmm.
It's not AI, it's HI.
Hmm.
So it's a human intelligence network that's worked together to
Hmm.
create a stream of content that is of very high
Hmm.
value. That's the real
Yeah.
output of Excalibur. This is what I believe Web is
Abs-
really all about. It's about turning the whole media system that's been built through Web 2, turning it all on its head, creating a better
yeah.
quality where it's owned by the people, it's created by the people, it's curated by the people, and then the people are the ones that want to pay for it in the end. And all of the money
Yeah.
they pay is going back to the creators, back to their affiliates, back to the network that brought them that content.
Nice. So that's a very interesting way. I think we've discussed that, very deeply. And, for all the listeners, that would be a very, very important point of view, for especially the ones who are transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3. So, just this re-listening this piece in itself would help you understand, what Web 3 is all about. So thank you so much, Simon, for that explanation. And what you're trying to build, it's just not explanation. It's something that you're building truly in Web 3.
Yeah, it's hard work. It's something that I haven't really done in quite a long time. Being an investor
Yeah.
and a trader is a very
Yeah.
different mode of work to what I'm doing now. Managing a team, building a software application is a whole lot harder. It has to be said.
Yeah.
Um, you
Oh,
know,
absolutely. So
I've
is the
had
beta version is out now, right?
Yes, yeah, the beta version is there. You can go on there. You can submit content. You can
Mhm.
share content with your friends, and
Yes.
this is what the application is there for.
Yes. So can you share a little bit about the timeline of, the beta version is out and what's next to come? When does the tokenization start to happen? And, like, if you can share that right now.
So yeah, if you're a creator and you would like to come onto the platform, then speak to us, and we are interested in partnering with you. We have the token issuance. 50% of it will be discretionary. So some of that is going to the developers, and some of it's going to the early adopter creators that come onto the platform. The other 50% is a automatic distribution to the community when people share content with people that end up making a donation or purchasing an NFT. There's an
Mhm.
automatic distribution of tokens to them. So at the moment, we're in that discretionary phase. People that come on and promote Excalibur by promoting their own content on Excalibur, very much a
Mhm.
partnership. You're promoting your content, you're promoting your own NFT, and effectively you're creating a DAO by putting your content on the platform. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the opportunity for both the creator and for Excalibur. It's to use the platform. Tokens are
Interesting.
the tokens are not for sale. Basically, you can't buy them for money. We're not taking any VC investment, and you can't buy the tokens on any exchange. I don't know anyone that owns the tokens that wants to sell them right now because they're all holding on for the future.
Cool. And then you'll have, I'm assuming, a limited number of, like tokens that you would be releasing, right? And, based on that, it'll have, that distribution, or it's going to be podcast based. How does that function? Like, if I'm, I want to put my, podcast there, I put in
Yes,
my content with all the guests. I've done, few earlier. I'm going to keep doing it, in the future. So how
yes,
does that tokenization work for me and my audience? I think that might help us understand a little more.
yeah. So you would put your podcast onto the platform. That would
Mm-hmm.
generate a link. You put
Mm-hmm.
that link on your Twitter and your LinkedIn. maybe
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp it to all of your friends,
Uh-huh.
and you just say, "Here's the new podcast. Listen to it on Excalibur." They click on the link. They listen now on that page. On the page, they can see the opportunity to connect their wallet, to make a donation to mint the
Mm-hmm.
NFT. That gives them
Mm-hmm.
access to the chat room. They also
Mm-hmm.
have the opportunity to click on the affiliate link, and there they generate their own specific link, which says like a new
Mm-hmm.
smart contract, where they will
Mm-hmm.
automatically get 50% of the revenue. If they share
Mm-hmm.
that out with their network, they're doing the job for you of building your network, and they're going to get paid for that. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you know Web3. This is
Yeah.
probably a personification of Web3. Really, it's what
Yeah.
the real dream of in Web3. I've just basically understood the concept and thought, right, let's try and build it.
Yeah.
So I've tried to do it in a community kind of way. I'm going to end up owning a lot less than 50% of the tokens, because of that 50% is discretionary. A lot of it is going to the developers and to the early adopters. I'm going to keep what's
Mhm.
left after that. But the other 50% is literally out there to the community of people that share the content over a
It,
60 period.
oh yes, over a 60-year period.
Yeah.
That's a
So
long time, long time.
it's
Eh,
kind of modeled a bit like Bitcoin in that way. In the early days,
yeah,
people might be able to earn a lot of XCal tokens for
yeah,
doing a small amount of work. But
yeah,
if we are successful and the whole thing gathers a pace, then it will become much harder to earn the XCal tokens as time goes on, because you'll
yeah,
be sharing each day's distribution with a multitude of different people. So,
yeah,
yeah, if you imagine being a Bitcoin miner back in 2009, you would have used a small amount of electricity to earn some Bitcoin. But of
yeah,
course, back then, those Bitcoin were worthless. They were worth absolutely nothing. It was just a
yeah,
concept. You could go on a
yeah.
faucet, you could get Bitcoin for free. People spent 10,000 Bitcoin on two pizzas. That's, I think that
Oh
was actually
yes, yeah, I
2006
have.
happened. So
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
the first kind of attributing of value to a Bitcoin. So
yeah,
with any of these projects, I mean, CryptoPunks at the beginning, they were selling CryptoPunks for $20. And I
yeah,
think, it was really a couple of years before any kind of value started to accrue in those
yeah.
NFTs, because everyone just thought, well, it's a JPEG, why would I pay $20 even for a
Absolutely.
JPEG, but
Yeah,
once these things get going, it tends to go very flat for a very long time. And then once it gets
yeah,
going, it's, everyone wants to get in. And,
yeah,
that's, I don't venture any opinion as to whether the XCal tokens will go up or not. All I know is if people want to be part of this application, part of this community, then
mhm,
owning those tokens will give them, a place within that community, a level of influence over the way the community develops. It's a
mhm,
governance token in that sense. And yeah, the community itself will decide where the project's going to go. They will decide how it monetizes, how it evolves, which ideas we bring. I really hope that people do engage with it in that way and feel like, they own it effectively.
Oh, absolutely. That's how it's going to build on. Take shape and give it the. I think the vision that you have for it. It'll take shape through the community itself, right?
Yes,
So
definitely.
how has the response been? Till now. Now that the
Yeah,
beta version is out, you have some people coming on board. How has the response been?
yeah, I think when you have the chance to explain it to people, like I have to you, people have a very good response to it. People really kind of think,
Yeah,
yeah, I want to upload onto this platform. I want to share it with my network. I want to tell other creators that I know, and that's how we expect it to grow. So it's really just a question of talking to people. That's what podcasting is really all about. It's about communicating through word of
yeah,
mouth, new concepts that are of benefit to other people. I think we're in
yeah,
a world of crashing crypto prices, scammy NFT projects. I mean, let's face it. There's been some real horrific things have gone on. In Sam
yeah.
Bankman-Fried, to me, it looks like he totally works for the World Economic Forum, because he's given them everything they ever wanted. It looks like the regulators are now going to have absolute license to do whatever they want to crypto, because he's run a very terrible business. I mean, we have a very unfortunate backdrop in the crypto space. It is an
Yeah.
unfortunate side effect of freedom, is that people can really kind of abuse the technology, and in any new space, it's always a bit of a wild west. This is how it is. I think, with the early days of Bitcoin, it was seen really as just being something that drug dealers used, but people understand now that there's something of real value. I mean, even I remember being in it in 2013. No one really knew if it was going to succeed or not. It always looked like the government might ban it, like the whole thing could just get attacked by a 51% attack, or you could get hacked. And I mean, Mt. Gox got hacked. It looked like it was all over at that point. But, the fundamental technology is never going away. Bitcoin itself is never going away. I mean, FTX was obviously a total scam. But Solana's never going away. It was based on Solana, but they didn't destroy Solana. They just destroyed their own reputations. They destroyed the
Yeah,
reputation of centralized exchanges. It's
yeah,
ironic, really, because the whole point of crypto is that you don't need a centralized exchange. You actually get to own your own assets. That's where the real use case is. And so you should never leave your coins on an exchange. You might use an exchange to switch from one coin into another if you choose to enter into a new project or you believe there's a new opportunity. But yeah, it's about owning your own data. It's about owning your own assets and
yeah,
control over your own assets in a way that we've never really been able to before. The whole history of money. I mean, when you had gold or paper notes, you could physically own those things. You could put them under your mattress, but it was always a theft. Like people would come and burgle
yeah,
your house and steal your stuff.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
moved into the digital space, but
yeah,
until Bitcoin existed, you had to store your digital assets with a custodian. You couldn't hold them yourself. This is a
now you
major
can.
revolution in ownership. You can now
Yeah,
own your digital assets with your
yeah,
private key. People can't steal them from you. If you give your private key away, and when you put your coins onto an exchange, you're effectively giving them your private key. You're trusting them to hold that asset. And let's face it, FTX have demonstrated there isn't any regulation about what they do with your assets. So there's a very good
yeah,
chance there are some other exchanges, some other custodians, maybe custodial wallets, maybe DeFi protocols. Maybe they've done some slightly naughty things with your coins as well. So I really suggest that you recognize that it is a game of musical chairs, and
yes.
you really want to make sure that you get off the exchange before the music stops.
Absolutely. And the important thing is, to do your research. That's very important,
Absolutely.
like
Always do
exactly
your own research. Nothing I say
research.
is financial advice. I think you'll probably agree
Yeah,
that everyone should do their own research.
research.
I
Yeah,
mean, price of anything can go up or down. Price of any exchange can succeed or fail. None of us know
yeah,
the future. This is the reality. I mean, we're here having this conversation today to explore the future. I think it's
yeah,
very good that you're doing this series of programs for people to learn more about Web3. Obviously, you're
yeah.
providing a great service there in terms of helping build stuff. But it's a new and exciting space. I think we're very early days in this amazing new technology, and it's going to be very
Or
interesting to see where it goes.
no, nice. Absolutely, Simon. I'm just doing my bit. And I just want to make sure that we have enough voices out there to talk the right things about it. And especially who better than the people who are building in it, who are fully invested in it, like yourself. So thank you,
Yep.
for coming on the show, taking out time on a Monday morning. So thank you very much. I think we are almost at the end of it. I just have a few more, just kind of an ender questions that I usually have. So
Yep.
like you are building in this space, right? So you interact with a lot of people who are in the same space. So
Yeah.
from as of today, your outlook for Web3 growth, is it a positive, negative, or neutral? Like one word.
I think, yeah, I mean, the overall Web3 space, I think
Yeah,
during this crypto bear market that we're in, I think you're going to see a
yeah,
contraction of interest without a doubt. But this is the time when people build. I mean, Bitcoin was built during the financial crisis, 2008, 2009. That's when that one came about.
yeah,
Ethereum was built in the bear market of 2013, 14.
yeah,
NFTs came about in the bear market of 2017, 18. So, things are being built now that will be shaping the future of crypto, shaping the future of media. So I think
yeah.
this is the phase where probably a lot of the scammy projects will get shifted off the scene, which would be very good for everyone. And the real
Absolutely.
use cases will come through. So I think the real Web3 is probably growing every single day.
Yeah,
The Web3 scams are probably diminishing every day because there's much less money in the system. The crypto bear market
absolutely.
is taking the money out of the system. So
So
think
this
that
bear
things.
market, Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying bear markets need to happen because they clear out the waste.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was saying the same thing. Just bear market as acting like a filter.
It is, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a very good
absolutely.
filter.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So that sounds very bright for the future as well. So just one or two critical pieces of advice, for the people who are joining in now into Web3 space, like maybe students or the first-time entrepreneurs. Uh, any one or two critical pieces of advice for them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely do your own research, learn as much as you possibly can, recognize that this is a very different thing in terms of concept to what we've had before. So, the more you understand these concepts at an early stage, the more well positioned you are to build something that has real value for the customers. And that's the road that I have walked over the last couple of years. And I'm finding it serving me well. The fact that I understand the space means that I can build something that's of real value. So, anyone that wants to come in, do your own research, learn as much as you can. There's a lot of amazing content out there on YouTube. There's even more amazing content out there on Excalibur.
Yes, absolutely. With that, Simon, I think we'll come to an end of this fantastic episode. Want to wish everybody, all the listeners, viewers, have a great week ahead. And thank you so much, Simon, once again for coming on the show. Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
much for your invite, Alec. It's been great chatting to you.
Pleasure. I had a good time. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Let me just